Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 93. We are closer and closer to episode 100. I don't know what I'm going to do for episode 100, but I'm very excited about it, guys. I hope that you are all well. I am feeling pretty recharged after a lovely weekend of the sun shining in the sky at last after several weeks of grey skies. And I know I don't like to complain about the weather, and I really encourage people not to, but I felt a bit starved of sun, not gonna lie. So, as I am just a complicated plant, being able to stand in the sunshine, even though it was still cold, in the garden has put me right the fuck up, and I hope it has done the same for you. Speaking of plants, let me update you on my life for a moment. I have bought a new plant to add to my small collection this weekend, and it has brought me great joy. Now, never been a gardener. I didn't know I was into plants, but isn't it funny how it just creeps up on you? Like, 1 minute you're young, and then with very little notice, you start doing things like texting with your index finger, signing up for reward cards at the supermarket, and spending Saturdays buying succulent potting mix from the local garden centre. It just really creeps up on you, doesn't it? Anyway, it seems I am now a beginner houseplant enthusiast, and I've got 6 little plant babies, and I'm very proud that I've managed to keep them alive and that they now appear to be thriving. So there's an Instagram account that I follow called underscore Nancy's Fancy, and it's this woman, and she just makes videos in this beautiful room that is full of plants, and it's just such good vibes. It's literally the same video from different angles over and over again, but I love that Instagram account. So I'm now creating a little collection ready for when I move into my house that'll have a little greenhouse sitting room like Nancy's Fancy, and adopt my role as a plant mother, and go and follow her, and you will see why I love it so much, because it's utterly beautiful. What else do I have to tell you? Let me think. Oh, I booked tickets to an Usher concert in London on I think it's the 5th of April next year with some friends, so that's exciting. Not really into concerts, if I'm being honest with you, but I am definitely into Usher. And I want to have like more fun with my friends, and I find that when you're in your mid-30s that having fun with your friends means scheduling a date a year ahead, because every fucker's got little kids. So, yeah, I did that. That was exciting. Did a couple of one-to-one sessions that I posted on my Instagram recently. I had a bit of a download to offer these because I felt like somebody needed it. And it turns out I was right. More than one of you needed it. I had about 6 people asking to book in the DMs, which is very exciting because I love talking to you guys. Not something that I thought of doing before, because I normally do coaching in a block of like 4 weeks, but sometimes you just need a little boost and a reset. So I followed my intuition, and as always, it was right. So if you would like to do either of those, like a one-off one for 101 or 4-week block for 444, let me know and I'll book you in for, it'll be early-ish in March now when I've got some more spaces. But I hope to get to speak to more of you because I thoroughly enjoy it. So if you are listening this Monday morning after spending a half term busily working away on my upcoming project, which is called Empower State, and can't wait to share it with you, I'm going on my last ever residential with my school, which is fucking wild, because I have been lucky enough to have the opportunity to go on quite a lot of residentials over the years, so I'm a little bit sad that this is going to be my last one, and it's also just around the corner from me in Rivy. But yeah, that's good. I'll be spending the next 3 days just hanging out on the reservoir, doing a bit of paddle boarding and other fun activities with some mild sleep deprivation from them being giddy all night. So that'll be a nice start to my final half term there. So I want to start by sharing a couple of like cool manifestations that have happened this week, because I know that I really love hearing about other people's manifestation. It leaves me feeling very inspired. And secondly, because the two that I'm going to share with you are evidence of the concept that I'm going to talk to you about today. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is to do with my car, right? So I've got a car, a Ford Fiesta, on finance, and I took that out in 2021 on a 3-year standard finance deal. And that was confirmed to me because a couple of months ago I had a phone call from the garage where I bought it from saying that my finance was up later this year and did I want to come in and discuss my options, which of course I didn't at the time. I was like, no thanks, because last minute Annie always, and that sounded like a complete blag. Anyway, after handing in my notice, I realised that I actually do need to try and sort this out now before I leave work so that I could get a new car or new finance on the same car, because obviously when you're self-employed they need a few years of books, which I don't have yet. So it was kind of playing on my mind. I felt like it was a big task. I kept putting it off because it just felt like this issue that I needed to deal with, and I was thinking about the potential undesired circumstance that I could be left with no car and I wouldn't be able to get finance, and how that would cause me all kinds of problems, because we all do that. We all fall into the circumstances sometimes. So I buried my head in the sand and kept putting it off until eventually one night last week I remembered who the fuck I am and the power that I hold. So I stood at the window, I opened it up, I looked at the moon, who I often talk to, and I said out loud, this issue with my car is now resolved. There is no problem. I have a car and it's already done. Everything is already done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I just let it go and I went to sleep knowing that it would sort itself out with no effort, because that's what I'd just put in my request there. So the day after, I woke up and I thought, right, I'm going to message them and ask if they could refinance that same car so that I could just carry on paying it. And then I won't have to swap it for a new one and do all of that shit, and it won't cause me a problem. And by the time I get up to the end of that one, then I'll have enough bucks to get another car. So they said, yeah, that should be fine, but you need to ring us a month before your finance is up in October 2025. Somehow, things, as they always do, have realigned so that the finance that I knew was up this year and had confirmed it was up this year by a man at the garage who rang me a couple of months ago, is not up now until the end of next year. Even though I knew I'd done it for 3 years in 2021, and that guy had rung me. So I actually rung them up again and told them, like, are you sure? Because I thought it was this year. A man rung me to say that, and I thought that. I'd written it down as that. They double-checked it for me, sent it over an email. No. Definitely October 2025. So, as requested, the situation was just resolved overnight with no effort, because I decided to stop putting my attention on it, to take my attention away from that undesired circumstance and think from the vision. And the vision is that I believe it's already done. There's no problem with it. So, in order for that to have happened, something has changed in 2021. So just bear that in mind for a second while I tell you the other story, because they're both about this same concept. So the other one that I want to share with you is actually one of my dad's. It's not mine, but I've been spending a lot of time with my dad, and I've spent a lot of time this week while I've been working on Empire Estate. I've been using a desk in his office. So I've been kind of heavily involved in his business this week. And he's got a business called Armourplate UK. In fact, come and follow us on Instagram at Armourplate UK, ARMAPLATE, because I've just started him an Instagram page recently and we'd be very grateful for a follow. In fact, I'll sort you out with a positive pig discount if you want to buy something. So basically, he makes security products for vehicles, and the stuff that they do is particularly for vans, but also for camper vans and cars. So they've got products for everything. They're like the market leaders. They're a really trusted company, and they've been very successful for over 25 years with no issues. But over the past few years, with the lockdown and I don't know, something else going on in the world, the production of vans has been really affected by some kind of global situation that I know nothing about. But in a nutshell, there've been hardly any new vans coming through the production because the products that he makes are one-off purchases. Once you've got it on your van or your car, it's kind of done forever. So obviously, because there was no vans coming through, and not as many cars, that was causing quite a lot of problems. People wanted the product, but they didn't have anything to fit it on. So, as we all do, like I did with my car, he was getting quite stressed and caught up in these circumstances that were unfavourable and worrying and having a bit of a panic. So on Friday night, I did a bit of an intervention and we sat down together and I created with him a vision of what he wanted his business to look like, because that is the very first step in manifestation. You have to have the vision. And by doing that, you get excited about it and you think about all of the possibilities and all the things that you could have and all the things that could go right. So once he'd done that, he felt a ton better, which you always do after you've created your vision, because it feels real. So he was feeling really excited and motivated and very optimistic. And I think that's a really important part, is that he took his attention completely away from these circumstances of there's no vans coming through, there's not many cars, and he started thinking and feeling from his vision. So when he went to bed, he'd kind of released all of that worry and was just looking forward to what was coming through this vision. So he went to bed feeling quite calm and excited. So absolutely nothing had changed in the physical. And that's important to know at this point. Nothing had changed. The circumstances were exactly the same. Just like with my car, nothing had changed. What had changed was both of our thoughts and feelings about the two situations and moving out of our circumstances and into the vision. So the day after that, it was a bright sunny day because that was on Friday. And we'd done the vision on Friday night. And then on Saturday, this weekend, it was this lovely, bright, sunny day. And for the first time in months, we were all sat in the garden, just relaxing and having a nice brew in the garden, enjoying a bit of peace. And then he got a phone call off my uncle, who works for him. So this phone call was to say that he'd completely forgotten to tell my dad about this really big order from the police for some products through his business. So my dad was like obviously thrilled about this, but at the same time he was really confused about how my uncle could have possibly forgotten to mention something so important and so significant when the business had been quieter. And I knew exactly why that was, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. And I'm going to guess that at this point you probably also know why that was. So in both examples that I gave you, both the manifestations that I've experienced this week, my car finance and this big order at Armour Plate, they were already done. Like, there was no point where those manifestations were not already done. My car finance had always been ending next year, and the phone call about the order at Armour Plate had already come through the day before he'd written the vision. So whilst me and my dad were focusing our attention on the undesired circumstances, we were experiencing those with our senses and taking those as facts instead of what we know is fact, which is the vision. The wish was already granted, like the vision was already done, but because we didn't have proof in that moment, we were feeling those emotions of stressing and worrying and panicking. And it wasn't until we both took our attention away completely from those undesired circumstances and made a decision that it was done and stepped into our vision, just accepting and affirming that it was done, that we were then in a state to receive, and therefore it was able to manifest into our 3D experience, and we could use our senses then to experience what had happened. So the concept that I kind of want to share with you today is that as soon as you desire anything, it's already done. It's already done. A really common question that people ask about manifestation is, how long will it take? Or how long do I have to wait for it? But the question that you need to ask is not, how long do I have to wait for it? It's, how long is it going to take me to accept that this is already done, become the version of myself that already has it, who would feel those feelings of it being done, and therefore allow myself to receive it? That's the question. The time delays that you receive in some manifestations but not in others is nothing to do with the desire being bigger or it being smaller. It's that your resistance to receive something that you perceive as bigger is also bigger because you're having a hard time accepting that it's already done. And I include myself in this. This is everybody in the world. I'm a manifestation expert, but that doesn't mean that I can just like manifest something instantly. I have got the same resistance as everyone else. The only difference is I work hard on myself to remove them because I understand what's going on. And each time I do that, I level up the speed and the efficiency of my manifestation power, because what once seemed unrealistic or like a dream is now normal. So each time you step up, you're normalising having the thing that you once thought was not possible. And that is the process that I use, and exactly what I'll be teaching in Empower State, obviously in great detail. It's the next level of understanding so that you can use it over and over and over again to continue levelling up your life. We've got this perception of time like it's this straight line, and as humans, the reality of how time actually works is just far too complex and mind-blowing for us to understand fully. So to make it more digestible, we give it this clear order that we feel more comfortable with, that makes more sense to us. So there's a past behind us, a present that's happening right now, and a future that hasn't happened yet. But that view of time is not really how it works, not at all. That linear view is just this human construct. And if we are going to master manifestation, we need to understand it a little bit better than just this straight forward moving line, because it isn't that. Time is happening all at once, and it's intertwined with another very complex concept, which is space. And I'm no fucking scientist, guys, but it has been proven by scientists, actual scientists, not just me talking from my room, who study this sort of thing, and they don't all agree on what exactly is going on and what the exact nature of time and space is, but most of them in modern day agree that it is not what we think at all. It's not the way that the majority of us view it, and that events are happening simultaneously. And the reason this is important for us is even when something appears to be fixed, like the outcome appears to be fixed, by our thoughts and our focused attention, we can create new outcomes, even though it looks like, through our perception of time, that it's already fixed. So it could appear that the positive outcome happened before you even created it, like my finance deal or the order that came through. So that was confusing as fuck, and I'm going to say it once more, just to clarify. Events are happening simultaneously. There is no past, there is no present, there's no future, and just to add further complexity to it, all possible outcomes also exist, like everything you can imagine. The reason that that is important for us is, for a manifestation perspective, but is what I mean by us, is that when something appears to be fixed by the creative power of our thoughts and our belief in it, we can create a new outcome, even though it looks like the outcome's already been decided in the past. So, for example, let's try and simplify it a little bit, because I feel like that's gone deep. So, let's say you were to choose lottery numbers and you got your ticket and you took it home, and then maybe you're at work all day. The lottery has been drawn, but you still don't know what those numbers are yet. So you might think that those numbers are now set in stone because they've already been drawn. The draw's been done in the past. But until you see them, all outcomes are possible in your reality. So there's an outcome where it's not your numbers, there's another where it's some of your numbers, and there's another where you have hit the £1 million jackpot. And in that moment, just before you look at those numbers, your thoughts and your beliefs and your expectations are creating the outcome that you are going to experience in relation to those lottery numbers. You are creating the numbers that Patrick Keelty reads out. Is it still Patrick Keelty? feel like I've not watched the lottery for a very long time, so maybe they've updated him. But he used to be Patrick. I had a fucking massive crush on him when I was about 9. So after that example, hopefully it makes a bit more sense, but you might be thinking, well, Soph, why have I never won the fucking lottery then? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's because you haven't really deeply and fully accepted the belief that you've won £1 million on the lottery, and you haven't stepped into that version of you who has. It's the same reason that I haven't. We have deeply ingrained collective beliefs, and one of them is that the chances are so incredibly small of winning the lottery that it'll just never happen. And that's why it's so rare for somebody to win it. And, or not so much so rare, but why you might not have won it when you want to. And you can shift that belief by all means. For me personally, I've got no real desire to win the lottery, if I'm being honest. It's obviously, it'd be cool to win the lottery, but it doesn't light me up. So I need desires to light me up in order to create them. I want to create my wealth through my service. So it's not one that I would bother changing for me. But I hope that the lottery analogy kind of conveys the message that I'm trying to send out to you. So this week then, what I would love you to do is really notice where you are placing your energy on the undesirable circumstances and move your thoughts and feelings back over to your vision. Make sure you've got a clear vision. I've got a podcast episode about that, creating your vision, that I didn't do very long ago, a few episodes ago. And in episode 89, I did one about where you're putting your energy, because what I'm talking about today builds on that one. So go back and listen to those. Be open to the universe realigning based on your assumptions that the desire is already manifested to bring that to you. And keep me updated on what you experience through doing this in the Facebook page. Let me know on Instagram. Tag me in your stories. Tag me in your posts. And leave me a review if you've got a minute and tell me in there. If you do leave me an Apple review, I will be adding your name to the draw at the end of March to win a one-to-one session with me. So I hope you have a wonderful week full of manifestations, full of synchronicities, and I can't wait to hear all about them. Oh, it's 2222 on the timer. Right, I'll see you later. Have a fabulous week. Bye.